When we think of civilization's greatest feats, we often picture towering skyscrapers or colossal bridges. But what about the roads that tie our cities, countries, and continents together? Some of these roadways are so ambitious in scale, or cross such inhospitable terrain, that their final price tags can be staggering. From record-breaking tunnels beneath busy urban centers, to suspension bridges over volatile seas, each of these megaprojects overcame immense obstacles and demanded equally immense budgets. In today's countdown, we're taking a look at the 15 most expensive roads ever built. Instead of starting from the least expensive, we'll begin with the most jaw-dropping construction cost at number 1 and work our way down to number 15. You'll see how these engineering marvels transformed entire regions, boosted economies, and sometimes stirred major controversy. Stay tuned until the end, because you'll discover tunnels under oceans, sky-high overpasses, and even a highway notorious for cost overruns that soared to record levels. The Big Dig, Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Welcome to the Big Dig, or more formally, the Central Artery/Tunnel Project in Boston, Massachusetts. Renowned as one of the largest and most expensive urban infrastructure undertakings in U.S. history, this project reimagined traffic flow beneath the heart of one of America's oldest cities. By the late 20th century, Boston's elevated Central Artery, Interstate 93, had become a colossal traffic bottleneck. Over 200,000 vehicles squeezed onto it daily, wreaking havoc on commutes and hampering economic growth. The solution proposed was radical: reroute the interstate under downtown Boston via a 3.5-mile subterranean system of tunnels. Construction began in 1991 and lasted until 2007, significantly longer than initially predicted. Engineers had to contend with centuries-old buildings and labyrinthine underground utilities. They used the curtain-covered method, excavating sections of the city and then roofing them over once the tunnels were installed. Because Boston sits near the Atlantic coastline, the design had to account for water infiltration, meaning specialized slurry walls and reinforced concrete methods were essential to prevent flooding. The original estimate of $2.8 billion ballooned to $24 billion by completion. Numerous factors played a role: contractual disputes, flawed management, frequent design modifications, and persistent legal battles. Accidents plagued the project post-construction, including a tragic incident in 2006 when a ceiling panel collapsed inside a tunnel. Today, the Big Dig has relieved much of Boston's gridlock, replaced the old highway with parks and public spaces, and rerouted traffic underground. It serves as a cautionary tale of how infrastructure projects, especially those in dense urban areas, can turn into epic sagas of cost overruns and technical hurdles. Karachi-Lahore Highway, Pakistan. We move from the bustling streets of Boston to Pakistan, where the Karachi-Lahore Highway project stands as a linchpin of the nation's modern road network. Spanning 746 miles, 1,200 kilometers, this highway connects two of the country's most vital cities: Karachi, the financial hub on the Arabian Sea, and Lahore, a historic center near the Indian border. The M9 motorway connects Karachi to Hyderabad and was originally a dual-lane highway now upgraded to 6 lanes. The M5 motorway links Multan to Sucker, creating a straighter, safer, and faster route to Lahore. This extension dramatically cuts travel time, previously around 20 hours, down to 14 hours. With Lahore as a major industrial and cultural heartland, and Karachi serving as Pakistan's largest port city, a direct, high-capacity corridor was paramount. The improved highways foster quicker, lower-cost freight transport, benefiting sectors like textiles, agriculture, and logistics. The final price of around $11.5 billion covers extensive design modifications, land acquisition, and engineering solutions for areas prone to flooding and extreme weather. High traffic noise and environmental concerns emerged, but most stakeholders consider the highway a vital artery for national development. By streamlining the flow of goods and travelers, the project fuels economic growth and reduces road accidents significantly. Buoyed by its success, Pakistan is now planning more highways to replicate the positive outcomes witnessed here. Egnatia Odos, Greece. Next, we find ourselves in northern Greece, tracing the route of the Egnatia Odos motorway, A2. Its name pays homage to the ancient Roman Via Egnatia, bridging east and west across the Balkan Peninsula. Spanning about 416 miles, 670 kilometers, across mountainous and coastal terrain, it links key Greek cities including Thessaloniki and Ioannina, eventually reaching the Turkish border. The design demanded more than 70 tunnels and a staggering 1,600 bridges, navigating spectacular but challenging topography. The modern A2 rekindles the trade legacy of the ancient route, boosting Greece's connectivity with neighboring countries like Albania, North Macedonia, and Turkey. This highway has directly improved tourism by offering easier access to UNESCO World Heritage Sites such as Meteora and the ancient city of Philippi. Construction started in the early 1990s and took nearly 2 decades, tallying a price tag of around $8.4 billion. Seismic reinforcements were a must. Greece is one of Europe's most earthquake-prone areas. Additionally, massive tunnels like the Metsovo Tunnel, 3 kilometers, were essential to safely traverse the Pindus Mountains. Egnatia Odos catalyzed commerce, enabling swifter freight transport between Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. By drastically cutting travel times, it has become indispensable for local industries and tourism, despite the massive financial and environmental footprints. Chuo Expressway, Japan. The Chuo Expressway is a vital arterial highway spanning central Japan, connecting Tokyo with Nagoya, one of the country's largest cities. Completed in various stages beginning in the 1970s, it now stretches approximately 227 miles, 360 kilometers, across formidable mountain passes. The highway plunges through the Japanese Alps, requiring numerous tunnels like the Hiyoshi Tunnel, 3 kilometers. Engineers had to deal with avalanche-prone areas, landslides, and harsh winter snows. These geological challenges significantly inflated the cost, ultimately hovering around $8 billion. Chubu Region. The Chuo Expressway offers direct routes to Nagano, Matsumoto, and the iconic hot springs of Yamanashi Prefecture, fueling local tourism. It also boosts the movement of agricultural products to Tokyo's massive consumer market, playing a key role in Japan's sophisticated distribution system. Being carved through mountainous zones, the highway frequently contends with inclement weather, rock slides, and heavy snowfall. Regular upkeep, including snowplowing and structural checks for tunnels, is critical to ensuring safety. This route stands as an emblem of post-war Japan's ability to surmount seemingly impossible engineering barriers. It's one of the busiest highways for both cargo haulage and personal travel, highlighting how an expensive initial investment can yield long-term national benefits. Otoyol 5, Turkey. In Turkey, Otoyol 5 represents one of the country's most ambitious infrastructure projects, linking Istanbul, a transcontinental megacity, to Izmir on the Aegean coast. Spanning roughly 265 miles, 420 kilometers, it slashes travel times and unleashes new possibilities for trade and tourism. The crowning jewel is the Osman Gazi Bridge, a 1.7-mile, 2.6 kilometers, suspension bridge crossing the Gulf of Izmit. When completed, it ranked among the longest suspension bridges in the world, reducing a ferry crossing of about 2 hours to mere minutes. Engineers had to tackle seismic vulnerabilities. Turkey sits atop major fault lines by using advanced damping systems to stabilize the structure. Otoyol 5's $7 billion cost was financed via a partnership between the Turkish government and a consortium of private firms. This arrangement sped up construction but also resulted in steep toll prices, sparking debates over affordability for everyday drivers. By linking Istanbul's industrial base with Izmir's manufacturing and agricultural sectors, the highway fosters swift freight movement across continents. The route is part of a broader national effort to modernize Turkey's roadways, bridging Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Mont-Fayette Expressway, Pennsylvania, USA. Rural highways might not get as much international attention, but the Mont-Fayette Expressway, or Pennsylvania Route 43, stands out for its colossal budget and long development history. Covering 66 miles, 106 kilometers, it aims to boost southwestern Pennsylvania's economy by connecting Pittsburgh's suburbs with rural outposts along the Monongahela River. Proposed in the 1970s, The expressway was envisioned as a panacea for the region's industrial decline and an answer to dangerous, winding local roads. Construction proceeded in segments, with new sections opening whenever funding became available. The corridor traverses hilly terrain, requiring complicated bridges and interchanges to integrate seamlessly with older local roads. $5.4 billion in total costs soared as a result of repeated delays, land acquisition challenges, and design expansions. For communities historically underserved by modern infrastructure, the Mon-Fayette Expressway promises reduced travel times and enhanced freight routes for emerging industries. Critics question whether the corridor's usage justifies the immense expenditure, especially as southwestern Pennsylvania's population has declined in some areas. Nonetheless, each completed segment has proven valuable for local development, with businesses drawn by improved access to Pittsburgh. Qinghai, Tibet Highway, China. Descending now into a region often called the Roof of the World, we find the Qinghai, Tibet Highway, known officially as China National Highway 109. Completed in 1954 for the modern version and later upgraded, this route slogs across some of Earth's most punishing terrain at average altitudes above 13,000 feet, 4,000 meters. Spanning over 1,200 miles, 1,900 kilometers, from Qinghai Province to Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, it crosses the Tanggula Mountain Pass, soaring above 16,000 feet, 4,800 meters, in elevation. Drivers witness stunning vistas, vast grasslands, shimmering lakes like Qinghai Lake, and glimpses of Tibetan herders. Thin air makes it difficult for workers and machinery. Altitude sickness is rampant. Extreme cold, high winds, and intense ultraviolet radiation demanded innovative construction materials and constant maintenance. Estimated to have cost around $4.2 billion in today's terms, the highway has undergone numerous expansions and improvements across decades. The road is a vital lifeline, delivering fuel, food, and goods to Tibet's remote communities, spurring tourism and local growth. Critics argue that rapid modernization threatens Tibetan cultural traditions and fragile ecosystems. Increases in traffic bring pollution to a once pristine plateau. Regardless of controversies, the Qinghai-Tibet Highway remains a symbol of human resolve, bridging an otherwise isolated region with the rest of China and beyond. Marina Coastal Expressway, Singapore. Singapore's Marina Coastal Expressway proves that even tiny city-states can undertake massive road projects. Officially unveiled in 2013, this 5-kilometer, 3.1-mile, expressway took nearly 5 years to complete, underscoring the complexity of building beneath a dense, modern metropolis. Over half of the EMS stretches under Marina Bay, with watery soils posing formidable construction hazards. Planners used advanced pressurized tunneling and created huge ventilation shafts to maintain air quality in the subterranean roadway. Singapore's government aimed to keep the city's surface green and uncluttered, so the MC channels heavy traffic below ground. By connecting industrial zones and the central business district, it alleviates notorious traffic jams near the port area. The final price tag soared to $3.15 billion, making it one of Singapore's costliest infrastructure endeavors. Initial issues, such as bottlenecks and driver confusion, were addressed through signage improvements, leading to smoother traffic flow. Today, the MC exemplifies how underground highways can free up precious urban land, a solution particularly apt for space-constrained places like Singapore. Landscaping around the tunnel portals also helps the giant road network blend into the city's signature aesthetic of lush greenery. Ruta del Sol, Colombia. From the futuristic corners of Singapore, we leap to Colombia, where the Ruta del Sol, Route of the Sun, highway emerges as a centerpiece in modernizing the nation's road system. Stretching roughly 665 miles, 1,070 kilometers, it links Bogotá, the capital, with the country's Caribbean coast. Historically, travelers endured winding roads with frequent landslides and epic traffic congestion. By constructing multi-lane segments across mountainous terrain and broad river valleys, engineers drastically reduced driving times from 20-plus hours to about 10 hours. 3 major sections: Bogotá to Villeta, overcoming steep inclines; Villeta to Barrancabermeja, numerous bridges crossing floodplains. Barrancabermeja to the Caribbean, more straightforward but still requiring expansions and improved safety measures. Trade, as Colombia's export industries, coffee, coal and beyond, expand, an efficient north-south corridor is pivotal for moving goods to ports. Tourism, coastal cities like Santa Marta or Cartagena have grown more accessible, attracting travelers to scenic beaches and historical colonial architecture. With a cost of $2.7 billion, critics are watchful of how such a sum affects national debt. However, supporters believe the benefits, employment during construction, ongoing logistics improvements, justify the massive investment. New coastal road, Reunion Island. We now touch down on Reunion Island, a French overseas territory in the Indian Ocean, to explore its new coastal road, an extraordinary testament to building in the face of nature's fury. The final cost hovers around $2.5 billion, an impressive figure given the highway is just 7.5 miles, 12 kilometers, long. The old cliffside coastal route was prone to rockfalls and closures, especially during cyclone season. It threatened both commuter safety and the island's economic stability. Instead of hugging the unstable cliffs, engineers built a multi-lane viaduct out at sea, supported by gargantuan concrete pillars hammered into the seabed. Constructing over open water forced developers to battle strong ocean currents, large swells, and deep, unstable geology. While creating a safer path, the road's marine foundation stirs anxiety over coral reef disruption and fish habitats. Environmental assessments aim to mitigate damage, but many locals fear the fragile coast may still be at risk. Once fully operational, the route is expected to handle thousands of vehicles daily and significantly reduce closures caused by landslides. Tourists will also benefit from a scenic overwater experience, encouraging further travel to the island's beaches and dramatic interior landscapes. Tehran, Shomal Freeway, Iran. Few highways have been as long-awaited in the Middle East as Iran's Tehran, Shomal, North, Freeway. Initially conceived in the 1970s, this project faced repeated interruptions due to revolution, wars, and financial constraints. It stands to cost $2.2 billion upon full completion. Stretching 75 miles, 121 kilometers, the freeway cuts through the Alborz Mountains to reach Iran's Caspian Sea province of Mazandaran. Currently divided into separate sections, some are finished and open for traffic, while others remain under construction. 150-plus bridges and 25-plus tunnels define its path, the most notable being the Alborz Tunnel at 3 miles, 4.9 kilometers, long, one of the Middle East's lengthiest. Extreme geological formations require specialized support structures and earthquake-resistant designs. Tehran, Iran's capital, has a massive population craving quicker escapes to the Caspian coast, a favorite holiday region. The older roads spiral through narrow mountain passes, creating travel times of up to several hours, plus frequent closures in winter. The new freeway slashes drive times significantly, offering a safer journey while fueling local tourism and commerce. Critics cite deforestation, environmental harm, and the potential for unchecked development in once pristine locales. Delays persist due to funding shortfalls and political shifts, but upon final completion, it will stand as a crucial link in Iran's road network. Durango-Mazatlan Highway, Mexico. A jewel in Mexico's modern infrastructure crown, the Durango-Mazatlan Highway, also labeled Federal Highway 40D, showcases how bridging rugged mountains can unify distant communities. Completed in 2013, it's about 143 miles, 230 kilometers, long and cost roughly $2.2 billion. Nicknamed the Spine of Mexico, this range features precipitous cliffs, frequent landslides, and complicated geological conditions. Over 60 tunnels and 115 bridges dot the corridor. None is more iconic than the Baluart Bridge, one of the world's highest cable-stayed bridges, soaring 1,300 feet over a ravine. Travel between Durango and the coastal city of Mazatlan dropped from 6+ hours to around 3 hours. This route fosters tourism, connecting inland cultural hubs with beach resorts, and significantly boosts freight movements to ports on the Pacific. Builders attempted to preserve local ecosystems by constructing wildlife crossings where possible, but critics argue certain pristine areas were inevitably disturbed. The highway replaced the notorious Devil's Backbone, a winding, dangerous route legendary for hairpin turns. Now, travelers can choose between scenic drama or a safer modern drive. Ionia-Odos, Greece. Greece appears on our list again with the Ionia-Odos motorway, A5. Officially completed in 2017, it stretches about 122 miles, 196 kilometers, from Ioannina in the north to Antirio in the south, running parallel to the Ionian Sea coastline in many spots. The corridor crosses mountainous terrain, necessitating more than 30 bridges and 24 tunnels. Earthquake-resistant designs were crucial because Greece sits on active fault lines. Before the A5, Western Greece relied on narrow, serpentine roads, prone to accidents and slow travel. The motorway slashes travel times, linking far-flung communities and encouraging tourism to places like the historic shrine of Dodona and the scenic Aeos River. Built with $1.6 billion from national coffers and EU contributions, it's emblematic of Greece's drive to upgrade its infrastructure post-economic crisis. Interstate H3, Hawaii, USA. The H3 Interstate, John A. Burns Freeway, on the island of Oahu, Hawaii, might be one of the shortest on our list, just 15 miles, 24 kilometers, but it certainly wasn't short on controversy or cost. With an outlay around $1.3 billion, it ranks among America's priciest highways per mile. Originally conceived in the 1960s, H3 was intended to link the Pearl Harbor Naval Base on the south with the Marine Corps Base in Niuhi on the windward side. Officially completed in 1997, it remains an essential military connector across the Kula mountain range. Its path sliced through Halawa Valley, which native Hawaiians regard as sacred. Years of legal battles slowed progress and forced multiple route design changes. Conservationists objected to the highway's intrusion on Oahu's forest ecosystems, leading to elevated viaducts and tunnels to minimize environmental harm. The Tetsuo Harano tunnels each span 5,100 feet, 1,554 meters, through the Kula Mountains, offering jaw-dropping vistas of lush valleys. Today, many consider H3 one of the world's most scenic highways, though it still symbolizes a complex clash between infrastructure development and cultural preservation. Tokyo Bay Aqualine, Japan. Finally, we arrive at number 15, the Tokyo Bay Aqualine, also known as the Trans-Tokyo Bay Highway. Completed in 1997, it connects Kisarazu in Chiba Prefecture with Kawasaki in Kanagawa Prefecture, drastically cutting the driving distance around Tokyo Bay. Around 4.4 miles, 7.1 kilometers, is a bridge, while 6 miles, 9.6 kilometers, submerge into a massive undersea tunnel, one of the world's longest of its kind. At the junction where bridge meets tunnel lies an artificial island called Umehoto, hosting restaurants, shops, and observation decks with panoramic bay views. Engineers faced constant battles with soft seabed soils and maritime traffic. Earthquake resilience demanded advanced structural techniques, ensuring the tunnel could handle potential tectonic shifts. Travel times between the Kanto region's industrial hubs plummeted, freeing up valuable commuter hours and shipping schedules. Despite high tolls initially, subsequent reductions spurred usage, turning Umehotoru into a tourist attraction for scenic sea panoramas, especially at sunrise and sunset. At $1.2 billion, although some estimates go higher if factoring in decades of planning, this demonstration of bridge tunnel engineering has become a hallmark of Japanese innovation. Thank you for joining us on this grand tour of the 15 most expensive roads on Earth, ranked from the largest cost to the smallest. Let us know in the comments, which highway surprised you the most? And would you dare to drive on any of these winding, high-altitude, or underwater routes? Don't forget to like this video, share with your friends, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most incredible feats of infrastructure.